I would now like to call on stage Kunal Thakkar, coordinator, to present a bouquet and memento to Ms. Richa Alunia.
So now, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Richa Lunia, who will speak about the same. That is, the topic is impact of foreign currency devaluation on Indian economy.
नमस्कार और जय जिनेंद्र। मारवाड़ की धरा बीकानेर से आकर मैं स्वागत करती हूं आप सभी का। बीकानेर दुनिया का वो हिस्सा है जिसे धर्म नगरी छोटी काशी का दर्जा हासिल है। हजारों हवेलियों वाला ये ऐतिहासिक 500 वर्ष पुराना शहर विश्व विख्यात है अपने रेतीले धोरों, भुजिया, पापड़, रसगुल्ले और अपनी गंगा जमनी तहजीब के लिए। परंपराओं के उस शहर की एक बेटी मैं रिचा के लूनिया आज इस शिखरस्थ मंच से आप सभी का अभिनंदन करती हूं और चाहती हूं आपका स्नेह और आशीर्वाद। So now, let me come to my topic. Back then, people used to say, when the US sneezes, the world catches a cold. Today, it may be more appropriate to say, when the US sneezes, the world gets the flu, and when China sneezes, the world gets swine flu. The crash bang thud was heard from the stock and currency markets all over the world in the recent months. So, what is all this? China has devalued its currency. It is a very bad sign. The stock markets have tumbled with Sensex and Nifty at an all-time low. Rupee is falling down, but we are strong. As our RBI governor, Dr. Raghuram Rajan says, at a time when trade across the world is falling, we will have to strengthen the domestic markets so as to absorb much of the increased production until the global market recovers. So, is the global currency crisis harmful, or does it have some good effect also? Well, our finance minister, Shri Arun Jaitley, feels that we have to take advantage of the global slump and turn India into a much sought-after destination for investments. So, in this paper of mine, I'm going to discuss the impact of foreign currency devaluation on the Indian economy. To begin with, let us understand the different terms. Foreign currency is any currency other than the home currency. And we must not confuse devaluation with depreciation of currency, because depreciation is fall in currency's value due to market forces, whereas devaluation is official lowering of the value of a country's currency by which the monetary authority formally sets a new fixed rate with respect to a foreign reference currency. Almost all the countries of the world have devalued their currencies from time to achieve certain economic objectives, like to encourage exports and to discourage imports, and hence to correct their balance of payment and shrink the trade deficit. Let us now understand what happens if a foreign currency is devalued. It will lead to cheaper imports and expensive exports. As a result of low demand, the falling net exports would lead to reduced manufacturing activities in the home country, which would dampen the real GDP growth of the country, as well as this would lead to lower income generation. This would also worsen the trade deficit and the current account deficit. Another issue is of currency war. Other countries might be tempted to enter into a tit-for-tat currency war, devaluing their own currency back and forth in a race to the bottom. This can be very dangerous and vicious cycle, leading to much more harm than good. Let me throw some light on the recent financial crisis in the world. Greece crisis, one such example is of Greece, which defaulted in the repayment of its loan and interest repayments to Eurozone and its countries. It has to put austerity measures to curb the inflation and revive its economy. Another example is of Zimbabwe. Imagine just getting a small cup of tea, you need to carry a bag full of notes. Yes, my dear friends, this is the case of Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is a country which is suffering from hyperinflation and erosion of its currency's value. Well, both these countries hardly affect India as our trade with them is very nominal. Friends, let me tell you an important and an interesting fact about Zimbabwe. The highest denomination of currency issued by the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is $100 trillion. 100 trillion Zimbabwe dollars, yes. Although now they are in a process of demonetization of their currency. Continuing with the global financial crisis, now comes the biggest amongst all, the China's Yuan Devaluation. On Tuesday, the 11th of August 2015, just as the markets were beginning to settle to relative calm in China's equity markets after a fortnight of turmoil, the Chinese Central Bank, the People's Bank of China, surprised everyone by effectively devaluing their currency, yuan, renminbi, by cutting its daily reference rate by 1.9% amid its sharpest economic slump in about 25 years. The PBOC said that this change was a one-time adjustment which would lead to more alignment between the demand and the supply. And before looking at its impact on India, let us first understand why did China do it. There were various worrying trends about China, like they were suffering from deflation. Factory gate deflation had been ongoing for 30 months while their debt levels were sky high. There was also a problem of slow economic growth as their exports had fallen to 8.3% in July and suggesting a further weakness in economy that could lead to a 25-year low of below 7% this year. And another issue was of global currency politics. China had been pushing to join the exclusive club of IMF's special drawing rights. What is SDR? SDR is a basket created by the IMF. It consists of reserve currencies, 4 currencies, that is the US dollar, the euro, British pound and Japanese yen. And as on 30th of November 2015, IMF has declared inclusion of Chinese yuan in the SDR basket with a 10.92% share with effect from October 2016. China had also been facing problems of GDP deficit as it invested heavily on the real estate sector and it did not pick up even half as well, with flats lying around and no one to claim they were forced to make renminbi cheaper. Another problem was low productivity on investments. Now comes the impact. Since China is India's major trading partner, so the yuan devaluation has a significant impact on our Indian economy. And the biggest impact was on the Indian currency, which fell significantly. The sharp fall of rupee rattled the stock markets, and if it continued to fall sharply, this would mean that the imports would become more costlier, stoking inflation, and this would also pressurize the RBI to hold on to high interest rates.
You have 1 minute left, so please conclude the topic.
May I continue, please? Thank you. So I was on rupee volatility. India also runs a trade deficit, and chances are that could lead to an increase in the current account deficit, which will further pressurize the Indian rupee. And falling rupee is bad for all those countries having dollar-denominated loans and as well as for the foreign flows. There's also a pressure on Indian exports. In normal course, falling rupee would have aided domestic exports, but the fact that India and China compete for several export items like textiles, gems and jewelry, etc. will also go against the Indian exporters. And India's trade deficit with China has almost doubled from $25 billion in 2008 and 9 to around $50 billion in 2014-15. Another fear is of dumping of Chinese goods. Sharp devaluation will make China dump goods like paper, steel, chemicals, drugs, petroleum, etc. into the Indian market, which will hamper the domestic manufacturers who have already complained of non-market prices. The biggest impact on the stock market. Stock traders are like mob of Sherlock Holmes, dashing to solve the mystery faster than others, and they have to play with very insufficient data and are reactive to even the smallest surprises. Yuan devaluation just proved a catalyst to the stock market crash, and as can be seen in the picture, Vedanta, Hindalco and some good companies' share fell down significantly on that day. Impact on different sectors like automobile exporters, especially Tata Motors, will feel the pinch as China was its fastest growing market. Tire industries and steel manufacturers. Yes, sir. Tire industries and steel manufacturers will face the similar pinch. That was all about the adverse effects. Let us see the good effects on India as well. There's an indirect benefit to the Indian IT sector as they'll earn more due to devaluation of rupee. There's also benefit of cheaper infrastructure as hard commodities like copper and aluminum are trading at new lows, and for India as a consumer, this would mean low cost of constructing new infrastructure, especially smart cities. Good for deficit and inflation management. With global slowdown, yes sir. With global slowdown, oil prices already taking a beating, and low oil prices would help to control deficit. And some people feel that the gold might glitter as the prices of gold have slipped to a 4-month low. Well, last but not the least, the good news for us is our mobiles can be cheaper as all smartphones are made in China. As every coin has two sides, although there were negative effects, but this Yuan devaluation also provided a silver lining for India, and there are a lot of positives for our Indian market as the oil and commodity prices have come down. Investments to India have also come on merit, and we hope for much better micro and macroeconomic reforms to get our growth engines reviving and make India Sone ki chidiya as it was in the past, the good old days. Well friends, before ending my presentation, I would like to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year 2016. I pray that the new year brings in lots of happiness, lots of success, lots of prosperity in everyone's life. Thank you.
Thank you, Richa, for sharing your views.